Hello everyone and welcome to a video called about a game called Reaper's Goodbye. So we're gonna say goodbye to death, and that's what the game's gonna be all about. Whoa, this looks cool already. The night sky of the countryside is wide, empty, and often soundless. Crickets may sing, but their song gets lost in the open air, soaking into nothingness. There is no hustle and bustle of crowds. There are no blaring car horns, just the wind through the grass and the labors of your own breath as you tread the unpaved road. It is said in such a countryside you may come across a man with a trail of cigarette smoke behind him. His shifty eyes start across the scene, but pay him no mind. His goals lie elsewhere. A cursed individual can only take company with those of similar fortune, you see. To exist between worlds means living tied to nothing. No home, no family, no sense of time. A man, like the look that looks perfectly natural wandering the emptiness of a soundless sky. If you come across such a man, pay him no mind. He will walk on, leaving only smoke behind. But if you meet such a man, and his eyes fix upon you, well, what can you do? What can he do? That's just how the world works. A cursed individual can take company with those of a similar fortune. It's just the wheels of fate turning. You two just got caught in the spokes. Reaper's Goodbye. Wow, I love the style. The town smells like roasting meat and alcohol. What a surprise to think the gods would lead us to this village just to meet us. The world works a mysterious way. Oh mon ami, you could give me a more cheerful face. Go ahead and smile. It's hard to tell. You never changed, do you? Such depressing company. Perhaps your poor mother fed you with bitter so depressing, so depressing. I must drink away my sadness. Well, the man turns around with a dramatic flourish. He begins walking to the nearest stall. He's been like that for the longest time. The man leads the way, babbling the whole time. This and that. It's always like he's keen on looking. Finally, he shuts up at a humble food stall where a group of patrons carry idly. There's a respectable, professional-looking man, a mature woman minding her own business, a jovial old man in a well-made suit, and a nervous-looking little girl hiding behind her scarf. Here's the chap I was speaking of. We can get this night started now. Oh, mon ami, don't be so sour. These poor souls missed their last train. They must spend the night without entertainment. I won't. It won't do. Let us trade stories until the fate calls upon us. I personally find this so immature. Don't be such a stick in the mud. I can't think of a better way to spend the night. Well, I can think of one better way. Oh, I bet you can. See, what, no, I missed it. And so the wheels of fate were turning. Or rather, they had already reached their destination. This was more or less known to the 6 strangers at the stall, who awaited the train that would take them far, far away from here. The story of the lost souls and their startling tales begin now. I love the mood shift. 5 stops until dawn. Do I choose one of you? Well, of course I'm gonna pick the beautiful woman. Yeah, I have a type. So you want a story from me, huh? Well, I got my fair share of stories. But scary ones aren't exactly my forte. Mostly, just got tales of heartbreak. Or maybe there is one. He takes a slow sip and sighs. So, how do you start these things? Whatever. It doesn't matter how I tell it. What's done is done, right? So it doesn't matter what I say. I wasn't. Beloved Jules Sniper. Once there was a woman and her daughter. They loved each other very much. The woman brushed her daughter's hair every night and sang gentle songs to calm her. The time they spent together was truly the most happy time they had had in either of their lives. Do you love me? Of course, Mama. How much do you love me? More than anything. You're such a good girl. Mama will give you a present, see? The woman gave her daughter a strange little box. It was thick and heavy with a large clasp in the front. If you're ever in trouble, just open this box. Mama will come help you. But Mama, I can just ask you if I'm in trouble? Of course, but one day... The woman continued to sing, her gentle voice soothing the little girl, so the yelling from the next room almost completely disappeared. When it was time to sleep, the girl snuggled close so that she could only smell her mother's sweet perfume instead of the stink of alcohol that permeated the air. She drifted off in her mother's arms, forgetting about the cramped room where they lived. La-dee-da. One day the little girl came home from school. Ugh, it's raining. She scrambled up the steps and pulled open the door. Mama, I'm home. Inside she saw... Papa? Papa, what did you... The time the woman and her daughter spent together were truly the happiest times in either of their short lives. With the box hugged to her chest, the girl knew those days of love were never coming back. Mama! The girl became a woman, and that woman became cold. She lived in an apartment where the scent of alcohol permeated the air, with a man who wasn't her husband. They got along fine, unless they didn't. The man borrowed her money, and the woman borrowed his time. Hey, do you have a little extra cash? You could spot me. I gave you all I had last week. Useless. You can't even lend your men a little spending money. What kind of woman are you? Well, what kind of man are you? You can't even keep a job. Shut up, useless. Why don't you go out and try working a little? Don't come back until you got something to show for yourself. So that was the exchange. And when returning to that cramped little hole, the woman could see that hideous man asleep with a glass tipped over next to him. When he woke up, she knew he would be angry, but he would blame on her, and she would be tossed into the night again, drifting off to sleep, but she couldn't help but mourn her mother. She was the only one who had ever loved her, and she was the only one she could love. The rest of the world is just too dirty. The woman kept the box after all those years. She hadn't opened it yet. There was no point, but for some reason, there was a sound from the box. A scratch, scratch, scratch. Something was alive in there. It was trying to get out. Scratch, 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 scratch. The woman turned over and tried to go back to sleep. There was a comfort there. The scratching was almost like a lullaby, and as her ears closed, she could feel her mother's arms around her. Another day of dirtiness, another day of pounding rain, how irritating. Their breath, I hate it. The woman went home as usual, the man stunk more than ever, and yelled as soon as she opened the door. It's not enough. Aren't you trying, useless? You're doing this just to spite me, aren't you? What did I ever do to you? It's not my fault you gamble everything. You spent it faster than I can make it. You don't understand how hard it is for me. Can't a man try to relax every once in a while? The economy isn't so great. You don't expect to treat you don't expect to treat you like so don't expect to treat you like the Queen of Sheba. I'm asking you to help out, so help out. Come on, answer me. What's so funny, huh? Is this funny to you? You're hilarious. Your breath. Quit joking around. The man froze. The box in the corner was shaking. The scratching was getting more intense. What's that? Hey, what the hell is that? Scratch, 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 scratch. The box was shaking more and more. The man gripped tense from the nervousness. My mother is in that box. Quit joking around. My mother was killed by my father. Did you know that? She was killed by him, and now she's in that box. She's looking after me even now. You're lying. She gave that box before she died, and said if I were in trouble I shall open it. What's in it then? I told you already. His grip loosened slowly. The air from the room had sucked out, and replaced with only the sound of light scratching. The man and woman laid down and closed their eyes, but neither of them went to sleep that night. Once again the woman was forced to go out and look for work. She brushed her hair and applied her makeup as the man smoked a cigarette. His eyes stuck on the box. You said when you're in trouble you should open the box, right? That's what my mother told me. Well, we've been in some trouble with money, all right? Don't you touch that box. Huh? What did you just say to me? I'm just saying we've been in some money trouble is all, because of myself, my very self. I've been managing just fine. Maybe there's some kind of jewels in there, or something we could sell for good money. I say don't touch it. Come on, don't you want to see how much your mother's love is worth? The woman left for work with a loud and bitter laugh, and this man is not going to respect her boundaries and look directly in the box, is he? Another day of dirtiness, another day of pouring rain, the sweet lights flickering on, the water droplets catching the light and blurring the buildings together. The woman trudged home after a long day of work. The scent of cigarettes, beer, and sweat soaked through her tongue. The sudden thought of her mother's perfume, the thought the rain, and through the rain she thought she could hear a familiar tune. My little baby. She ran as fast as her legs could take her. She scrambled up the stairs to her apartment and pressed her face against the door. The song could be heard inside. Behind the door, which held so many stains and fights and bruises, was an ocean of happy memories, in a world so dirty and cruel. How could you bring back those days of love? My sweetest child. It's easy. You just have to open the box. My little baby. There it was, a spider that shone like jewels dangling from the ceiling. A sweet scent hung in the air, as a beautiful melody rang out. On the ground the box lay open and empty. Please, please, such a miracle could only make her laugh. Oh, come on, baby. Now do you see how much a mother's love is worth? Most of the spider Spider probably sucked his blood and just not that bad. Good ending, in my opinion. And there you have it. They lived happily ever after. That's how all good stories end, right? Oh, you look upset. Were you expecting something different? Maybe the ending doesn't sound that happy to you. It doesn't matter either way. The little girl in the story wasn't me, so don't go dreaming. Once again, she acts elusive. It's just a little tale I learned off the street. But perhaps that's just an unchangeable fact. Beautiful story. Beautiful woman. So, 4 stops until dawn. So I am gonna listen to all 5 stories. I'm not gonna listen to my own. So, I am very interested in this character. Let's ask the flashy character in his story. Probably filled with a lot of exaggerated tales. That are very fun. A story from me, I never thought you'd ask. Mamma mia. The only thing I love more than hearing a story is telling one. Beetle laughs and takes a long drag of his cigarette. Oh, what to do? Yes, this is it. Now lean a little closer. Guardian Angel. Before I was well established in my profession, I was a pitifully penniless youth, traveling the country with little else than the clothes on my back. Not even proper threads, mind you, all shabby, out of season, just hand-me-downs at the presses they just remember. Well, anyhow, you can see how unfortunate I was at the time. There were nights where I would have no coin for shelter, and I licked the potato starch just to quell my hunger. I did manage to scrounge up enough to move to the city in hopes that I could find more opportunities there. I rented a small apartment on the lower end. It was a cramped, dark space, hardly bigger than a closet, with a single flickering bulb strung to the ceiling. My bed was a bare mattress, held up by a rickety iron frame. I tried not to make much movement, lest I be awoken by rusty creaking. Something peculiar happened the day I settled into my apartment. I was staring at the ceiling, willing myself to slumber, then I felt something at the side of my face. It was like an intense heat. When humans are in such darkness, their senses heighten, so that even the slightest rise in temperature can be felt. Something peculiar happened the day I settled into my apartment. I was staring up at the ceiling, willing myself to slumber, when I felt something at the side of my face. It was like an intense heat. When humans are in such darkness, their senses heighten so that even the slightest rise in temperature will be felt. So in the darkness, I felt I was not alone. Did I read that twice? I shot upright and pulled at the bulb switch. I nearly yanked it off. Completely in panic, I searched my cramped room and found nothing. Mold and mouse holes. I guess nothing but mold and mouse holes. Yeah. How depressing. Of course, I could not possibly sleep after such a feeling, so I headed out of that cursed room for some fresh air. Oi, youngin', ye be lucky to meet me at a time like this. Sitting on the street was a bedraggled old beggar. Her face was shrouded in stygian clothes, and her fingers played across the empty air. Something you should know about my profession is that you meet a great many kinds of people. Each person has their own unique path to take, and intersections like these are akin to miracles. You may walk through life lonely and singular, or you may once in a lifetime have a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So even if my amateur status, I understood this to be valuable. I wordlessly shuffled closer to the woman. Hey, you seem to be wise as well as lucky. Many youngin walk past and pay with their lives. Wise and lucky, odd to stay alive. So I tell you this. Buy this from me for a copper. Place it in your bedside, and sleep will come nice and easy. Oh, I'm gonna get scammed? Great. In her outstretched hand, she produced a small communication cracker. Believer I was of the secrets of the universe, but even I had to raise an eyebrow. Besides that, I had a little money to spare. In order to make rent, I have to cut down to a single meal a day. Wise and lucky, but still doubtful. Buy this from me, and ye will set in time. Everyone on this earth is blessed with a guardian angel. When ye lay down to sleep tonight, see how the angel watches over all of us. She was insane. Was she insane? Or speaking the truth, either way, she was looking out for my health. I threw her a coin and made my way up the steps. I placed a cracker on the thin strip of floor between the bed and the door frame. I lamented my lighted pockets. What in the world? I learned to fall asleep and survive on little more than crumbs. At the end of the week, the beggar woman would appear on the street corner to sell me another blessing. Parting with coin always hurt, but the pain was lessened as my luck began to fly. Somehow, my business was taking off. It seemed that the whims of the city and the wishes of my heart had finally aligned. Magnifico! But all was not so rosy during those blooming youthful days. I must tell you, in generous terms, an old friend who was a likewise young man with little to call his own. He too was in the profession and had much to say about it. So much to say that our entire walk home was consumed with his contemplation. The same evening, he told me of his new residence. The beggar lady came for our usual exchange. You're living here. I sure am. I mean, where else could I go in this dump of the city? I found a room last week, man. Does it make me miss home? Youngin', before you go off to bed, buy this from me for a copper. Ha! A copper, miss? I'm not gonna buy that little thing from you when I can buy myself a tall drink. Please, youngin', ye will regret it if you listen to this. She's completely off her rocker. That foolish friend of mine laughed loudly at the woman and spun on his heel. In his place, I exchanged a coin for the communication cracker, but her face looked like she was mourning. It's not too late to so. God, you're too generous. You need to learn how to say a no to street people. We're hardly getting by ourselves. She might have a point. Just consider it, please. Bah, just go to sleep already. And so, just as paths intersect, they part. That night, dear listeners, I heard something I can never forget. I was laying in my bed. Krr. Was that my angel staring back at me? Krah, krah, krah. The creak of the bed was somewhere in the complex. Scratch, 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 scratch. Hey, who the... What the hell? Hey, hey! The following day, I learned that my friend hadn't showed up for work, or so much as sent word. Sometime later, I saw the landlord grumbling around the complex, banging on a certain door with no answer. He seemingly disappeared clean off the face of the earth. How peculiar. But my mind wandered from it, and as soon as I received a letter saying I'd be accepted to a higher position with much better accommodations. Plans were made, suitcases were packed, and Lord knows how I paid communion up until the very last day. So that's this gentleman's tale of how I lived in my early years. Insightful to say. I wasn't always so refined. Ah, mon ami. I know how cruel I must know. But with time you begin to see into people's hearts. You begin to understand who will make it and who will depart. Such is the way of our chosen path. The old fool smiles gently at the memory. Although it gets lonely watching over everyone's path, doesn't it? This Lovey. The other patrons look unnerved by his tale. But to him, it's just a nostalgic conversation. Oh, what am I doing telling you this? Your icy stares tell me all I need. You're just about frozen over. Alright. 3 days. I'm interested in this gentleman here. So let's see what he has to offer in terms of stories. Ghost stories. Oh well. No, I haven't really. You don't get to talk about the occultish stuff in my line of work, since it's very specific. Are you a lawyer or something? I'm very factual, you see, but perhaps, the man nervously looks from side to side. Yes. Well, just for tonight, since you insist, there was this one time back in my school days. Tunnel visions. It was in my college years when I found myself stuck in the rain between trains. I'd studied late and neglected to keep track of time. Indeed, the trains went on without me. I ended up beneath a street lamp, with my umbrella doing little for the intensity of the weather. Looking out, I could hardly see anything except the shine of wet gravel in the fog. "Hoy! Are you lost?" A voice rang out in the night. I couldn't tell if they were beside me or not. They sounded like a man about my age. I still couldn't see them. Follow the tracks. If you go through the tunnel, you won't have to bother with the rain. But the train? These tracks have been abandoned for years. Come on, let's go. Indeed, there were tracks in front of me. I followed them, and came to a mouth of a tunnel, where I figured I stood. Strangely, I couldn't catch his face. The mix of fog and rain and darkness made it hard to see. I could tell he was, too, a student, but my nerves began to settle, because I followed a strange person that I didn't know down train tracks in the middle of the night. I would get a little unsettled, too. Well, I let down my umbrella and we entered the tunnel together. He began to ask questions about me. The tunnel was even darker than the outside, but thanks to our conversation, I felt completely at home. I explained the courses I was taking and the dorm I was at, the exams. You told him where you lived, bro. That's where you fucked up. The exams I was studying for and my expectations for the future. I'm going to become a physician. You sound so sure of yourself, he said. It's only a matter of time. The courses aren't so difficult if you study them properly. Anyone who says otherwise is making excuses. Naturally, not everyone can make it. But that's just how it is. If everyone could achieve their dreams, the world might as well collapse. That's very much like you. I was confused by this statement, and my nerves were on end once again. Did I know this chap after all? I studied his face in vain. The darkness was too much. He was slightly taller than me. Maybe he was somebody I met on campus. I tried to think of a way to catch his face. Say, do you have a light? It's a little... Of course, give me a moment. He lit a match from his pocket. A what is that sound? This onomatopoeia just, like, leaves me. The bottom half of his face was illuminated, but I still couldn't think of anything. Despite being taller, he had a odd youth about him. How to say it? Well, normally, at that age, a man begins to grow hair on their chin. Even when one shaves himself, there will still be little pox where the hair will grow. No, for him, it was completely smooth. There was a roundness to his jaw that made me think of prepubescent. I was thinking too much of it, so he caught me in the act. Something on my face? No, quickly I thought of something. I just don't recognize the uniform, so I suppose we won't be seeing each other at school. No, I suppose not. In the distance I heard the blaring of a train. The tracks aren't used anymore, remember? Of course. We will walk along them then. All the time back then. We would walk along them all the time back then. And that's a strangely worded sentence, I must say. We did? Well, normally I was too scared, but you would push me along. I pushed back, and eventually we would end up walking the tracks. We walked to school all like that all the time. Paolo? Yes, it was Paolo, a friend from years ago. We studied together and walked along the train tracks, just as he'd said. I still couldn't see much of his face, but his voice still carried the same measured timbre. I can't say it. Timbre. As it had many years ago. I was tempted to let out a laugh, but stopped before the empty tunnel. I could catch my voice. I suddenly became wary of the space around me as Paolo patted my shoulder in a friendly manner. Haha, took you long enough. I was beginning to think you'd forgotten all about me. Well, I've just been busy with school. My mind is a little tired. Of course, school, I see. What was that? But Paolo just smiled at me. Oh boy, he's trying to kill both of you. He had studied together for some time, with the goal of going into the same university. The bar was extremely high, so we put our all into it. But Paolo just smiled at me. Of course, hard work is important, but there's also a matter of natural ability. Some people are just built with better aptitude than others. It's by the grace of gods these things come to be. Truly, it's out of our hands. Paolo? I heard a train. It must have been your imagination. How far is the exit? It is out of our power how we are born. So, it was naturally out of my power when I was selected for university. My friend was left to the wayside. He said he would just try again and be my underclassman, but probably a while. What? You don't trust an old buddy? Paolo. Tried again and again. He entered countless essays and repeated the tests over and over, but he somehow was unable to pass. And by the grace of God, he simply couldn't. I fell out of contact because I naturally became so busy. There! It's at the end of the tunnel's mouth. It's going to hit us. You're worrying too hard. It's merely the pounding rain. Please understand, I hardly had time to even eat. It was cutthroat. Our futures were just going in different directions, and some to better places than others. No, up there, a light, it's coming. Ah! I turned to run in the other direction, with the small hope I wouldn't be dashed to bits, but a hand clamped to my shoulder so hard I nearly flung back. A hand so biting cold I could feel it through my coat and in my bones. Is that the ghost of your friend, Kim? Where are you going? Aren't we going to walk through this place together as friends? I remember this coldness. On a day with biting rain, I heard the news. After failing the entrance exam once more, my old friend Paolo wandered up onto the bridge after midnight and flew over the railing just as the train passed. The rumbling was getting closer. The light was creating a burning halo around him. The sound was piercing me. The light was piercing me. The other end of the tunnel was just too far away. Was I going to die? At last, I could see his face, young and just as piercing as the light behind him. You were good at running ahead. The path always seems to open just for you. Me, though, I could hardly get my foot in the door. Why is it you? Why can you do it and I can't? Why is it you? The light was burning me. In that moment, I was sure I'd died. That everything I had worked for until now would be smashed to bits. But then, the match, which was burning down to his fingertips, split in two and vanished into the darkness. Paolo and the train disappeared at once. I was left alone in the dark of the tunnel with nothing but silence and the vague glint of the train tracks, which had been abandoned long ago. And so that's the end of the story. As I said before, I'm not into the occult. Surely there's a scientific explanation for it. He gives a resolute puff. He's convinced himself of something. Perhaps I came off a bit cruel in my retelling. I can understand how someone uneducated might see it as that. Bro, you're a little high and mighty, I'd say. Academia is extremely cutthroat business. If you're unable to keep up, then it's your own fault. A bit of a workaholic, are we? Alright, I'll do the child now, and then we'll save the old person for last. So, that's if I can click her. Can I only do the old man? Okay, well, I guess we're gonna figure out if we can actually listen to the child's story at the last one. You got a good eye, kid. You're like one of the last people I picked, so don't get too... Don't think too much of it, man. I've got plenty of old spooks left in me. The old man is more relaxed than anyone else here. Well, when you lived a life like mine, you're gonna get a few spooks. So maybe all of this was a game to him. No, he's just old. He's just unbothered by any of it. Plenty of sour times and things you can talk about. So you can't talk about in front of the children. But besides that, I do got a good story to tell. It was back in the day when I wasn't so damn wrinkled. The sand casket. It's not the kind of business you can talk about. Not then or now, but it brought in money and was considered real men's work. I had big dreams, and the boss said I had promise. I was naive, but still rough around the edges. It was a different time, alright. You could say I was a garbage man. I took out the trash when everyone was asleep. Nice and easy, down on the beach with a cliffside. It had a sight like you wouldn't believe. I'd finish the job and stare out into the sea, taking in the scents. Now that I think of it, it's damn crazy that I never got caught. You shouldn't hang around the places you do business. Alright, I was caught, but it wasn't in an ordinary way. Even in my golden years, I can't forget what I found in the sand. I finished my business, and it was aching in the moonshine. and was taking in the moonshine, when I could have sworn there was a silhouette on the shore. Obviously, that's gonna set off some red alarms. This place was pretty out of the way, so I reached for the piece and dared to look closer. Chasing the waves was some little kid, big, droopy-eyed, and a carefree smile. What the hell was a kid doing all the way out here? Hey, you, come over here. Like a good kid, he trotted over. You could tell he was raised well, young and with manners, like that normally come from good families. Hiya, little guy, so tell me, where's your mom? What? No response? You could tell by his threads that he wasn't hurting for money or anything. He looked way too young to be some troubled runaway. He was pretty content for a lost baby. I could send him off to the police, but for certain reasons I just couldn't feel like visiting those guys. You like candy, don't you? Yeah, that's it. It was dangerous to have anybody running around during my job, but since it was just the little guy, I figured he wouldn't be any trouble. My older self would never make such stupid mistakes. That's the kind of thing that gets you 6 feet under. It accidentally became a ritual of mine to finish up work, then sit and watch the ocean with the mystery child. What an odd pair we must have been. Rowdy no good like me, and some upper-class hair stuffing in our faces was sweets. Now, rowdy no good like me and some upper-class hair stuffing our faces with sweets. I decided not to think too hard about where he came from. I've given up my own past long ago. One night. That hell of a night. What? I don't understand why it caught me off guard, but the mystery kid had such a damn sad look on his face. All I could think of was driftwood floating out at sea, or a hurt little bird. I don't think I'd seen anything sadder in my life. Hey little guy, you hungry? I got extra sweets tonight. But the kid just kept staring out over the waves, sad as hell. Come on, tell me what's the matter with you. Do you miss your mom or something? Let me help you out. What's the face for, huh? I let the kid lead me across the shore. Still, had my goods on me, for Christ's sake. He ran with all the determination he could muster. Alright. We reached a far part of the beach, right under the cliffside. He stood and pointed at the ground, looking at me with those droopy eyes. My first thought was, this kid lost his toy or something. He was playing at the beach and he buried it and forgot all about it. I did it all the time myself as a kid, so naturally I pulled out my shovel and got to digging. There's nothing here, I'm telling you. Same response. I began to wonder if the kid was playing tricks on me, or what. But something grabbed my mind. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but sometimes in this line of business you sense things a little better than most people. At that point, it's up to your own personal brains to decide whether or not you keep going. At that point, it's up to your own personal brains to decide whether or not you keep going. Huff, huff. I was young and very stupid, so you know how it went already. I shoveled more and more sand until it became dark and dense, all while the kid was looking at me with those watery eyes. Damn it, it's gotta be. My shovel met something at last. Clink. In the dense earth I spotted a little fleck of light. Deeper. I had to go deeper. Ah! I'm not surprised. Curled up like a cicada shell was a pair of skeletons. A large one with a torn dress and pearls, and a smaller one that... Oh, it's the kid, isn't it? Thank you, mister. And that's about it. Instead of horror on his face, times were very different back then. But the times treated me well, for the most part. But you get in a few odd things here and there. There's a look of warm nostalgia. Never did get to learn his name or how it happened. No use wondering now. No use wondering then. People disappear every day without a trace, but the world keeps turning. Frankly, I'm happy that I live in a world where things keep turning. It's nearly over. And all we have left is the child. The little girl who was up until now was staring at the ground. Finally, looks up with a steadfast eye. I have a story. She opens her mouth to speak, her voice trembles slightly. This is gonna be the worst story of all, isn't it? Before I got here, before you all were here too, the tired eyes of the other older patrons turned to her. Before I got on the train, back at home, 5 passengers. Oh, wait a minute! Wait a minute! We're 5 passengers! We're 5 passengers and she's the 6th passenger. What are you whining about now? There were funny things in Mama's house. A kid was looking out from the closet and walls, but Mama never believed me. The other one played lots of jokes on Mama. Mama didn't like them. You nasty child. What do you hate me? What did I ever do to you? Disgusting. Get away from me. I asked the other one why they kept hurting Mama. All they would do was laugh at me. Their face got all upturny, and they laughed and laughed and laughed. What are you doing? Are you trying to play tricks on me again? Why? Why couldn't I have a normal child? Mama, I am a normal child, but there's a bad child here tricking you. Mama, please believe me. Somebody was playing at night. There was a big crack on the floor. No. No, no, no. Mama's mirror was smashed on the ground. Why? Why are you always so mean to me? I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I tried to put the mirror back together, but there were too many pieces. The other one laughed at me over and over. Everything was broken. No matter what I do, things break. I'm a normal child, so why was it here too? That night I decided to run away. Everyone will be happy if I am gone. Mama won't have to cry anymore. I ran to the station, where all the trains are. When no one was looking, I jumped on board and sat down. I wanted to go far, far away, to a place where no one would know me. The train was cold and loud. The light flickered a lot. It was empty and lonely, except for 5 other passengers on board. There was a pretty lady looking sadly out the window. A man with little glasses grumbling a lot. A fancy man with a little mustache humming to himself. A nice grandpa who gave me candy. Sweet. I wonder if in my new home I can get candy like this too. Will I meet someone as nice as that grandpa? That would be nice. Eating the candy, I counted the passengers in the car. 1, 2, 3, 4. What? I thought I only saw 5 passengers. The 5th one was... No, no, not again. You can't be here. Get away right now. The train began to shake back and forth. Everyone started yelling. Everything began to rumble and I fell off my seat. The world turned in circles over and over and over. Oh boy. And then we all perished. I was trying to be a good child. I never played any tricks on anyone. I never complained about my bedtime. I never talked back. So why? Why did this happen? I was trying to be a good child. I never played any tricks on anyone. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry, Mama. And that's what happened. Her voice peters out softly. Oh wow. The eyes locked on her now, looking desperately to each other. Wait. So we're all dead? Nervously, the doctor speaks up. She's quite the creative little girl, isn't she? Haha. Ah, monsieur. You've got goosebumps. The doctor scrambles for his words. It's just the chilly air, alright? It's pretty late. Hey, what are you laughing at? The old man simply grins and muses softly. Oh yeah, the air is pretty chilly tonight. I've already decided long ago that I wouldn't regret anything. A man in my position doesn't get to be picky, you see. So chills like these don't bother me a bit. Truthful words, monsieur. Very few men in this day and age understand the nature of chills. The two older men laugh together as the doctor looks on in horror. You're all crazy, all of you. I need to get out of here right this instant. Where's my train at? And by pure coincidence, he is cut off by the mighty train horn. All of the fateful souls set in utter silence. Despite the differences, there is an instant understanding between them. Time stops for no one, and the train won't wait forever. There's your way out, big man. Don't want to miss it. The lady takes a languid sip and eyes the panicked doctor. Slowly, the bespectacled man leaves his seat and walks in the direction of the horn. And after a little while, the lady follows after him. Even now, her expression hasn't changed. The old man finishes his drink and smiles warmly. He extends a wrinkled hand to the little girl. Don't want to be late, little lady. Miraculously, the girl accepts. The two walk hand in hand until the figures are overtaken by dark. Ah, how heartwarming. What a perfect way to end the story. Oh, but what am I saying? The night isn't nearly over yet. Oh, please, mon ami. Can't you indulge in this temporary bliss? I know what we must do, but there's no use in us complaining as payment for straying from the path. We must assist Madame Fortune's grand plan. But oh, how magnificent it would be if things had turned out differently. Maybe I'd become an actor on the silver screen. How my features would shine. A gruff wanderer speaks for the first time that night. I don't know what I'd be. I don't know where I'd be. My mind goes blank when I think of anything else. His voice comes out as fragile as a child's. Maybe this was all I was meant to do. Still, much to do. But we must go on regardless. We must go on regardless. It is said in the countryside, you may come across a man with a trail of cigarette smoke behind him. He speaks little and keeps to himself, unless the powers that be force his hand. These people who wander without home or fortune carry a pitiful duty upon their shoulders. Any lost soul they find in their journey must be cut down without mercy. A life of endless meanings and partakings, that is the curse of the Reaper. We must kill them all, I see. I'm sorry, my souls. Oh, so he is the Reaper. Right on time. The last of them have been delivered. Well, almost. You already know, don't you? I too was on that train. Funny, isn't it? Even if we're separate from the rest of humanity, we can bleed like any average men. I'd do it myself, but it seems that my own power is ineffective against myself, so the duty of deliverance falls on a dear friend. Think of it this way. If you leave me in this phantasmal form, I'll eventually unbecome myself. Each part of me will chip away into the wind until nothing remains. So don't be sad. Being a Reaper really is a wonderful thing. We can meet again. And we can trade stories and eat well. Just as we have tonight. You have to die twice to leave the plane of existence? Alone on the edge of the town, in the countryside, the Reaper stands with white knuckles around the handle of a well-kept sickle. The spirits of the town push in and out of a train going somewhere far beyond. He knows one day he will be cut down just as his friend was. He'll exit this world as alone as he lived it. Huh? You're not dead. We will inevitably meet tragedy in our lives. Some will meet more than others, but it is said that the more dire the path, the more brilliant the miracles. A sum of wealth landing into your pockets. A brush with danger that leaves you untouched. Or perhaps it's something as simple as two lonely souls crossing paths. Alright. And that was a couple of ghost stories, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you, and safe travels throughout your lives. Oh, this looks nice. What a very beautiful scene to end off on. Are there more words to read? No, this is just the end. And it's very beautiful. I guess we all died, except for the child and the Reaper, and that's it. Let's see. Of the stories I read, I think my favorite one, well, I do like the twist at the end. That was very good. But I definitely like the one about the train. I definitely like the physician's tale. Of how he just was like blindly led onto the tracks by a ghost that was once his friend. I think that's the one that hit me a little bit. The rest of them were very interesting. I do like the spider's web. I wonder if it was really the spider that was in there, or just the ghost of the mother we saw. But it was overall very compelling. So, and I love the style, of course. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Alright? Goodbye.